guys, Jeff here from Grit City Fitness and Performance. Have you ever wondered why guys tend to lose weight faster than women? I know for myself, I see all over my Facebook feed ladies posting pictures, or memes actually, about how a guy will go on a diet for a day and a woman will go on a diet for a day, and the guy will eat everything that he wants or change one thing and he loses 10 pounds while the woman doesn't. Now, this is a little bit of an oversimplification because that's not necessarily true. We oftentimes think men lose weight faster than women, but there's a couple things that balance that out to make that happen. So let's digest those things so we have an actual understanding of the process of why a man might initially lose weight faster, but in reality, it all equals about the same. So let's dive in. First off, let's get some starting ideas. The typical man is probably going to be about 220 pounds. A woman is typically going to be around 140. So let's just use this as our starting numbers. Now let's say a man is going to be 20% body fat. So 20% body fat is going to be 44 pounds. If a woman usually is going to be sitting between 24 to 30%. So let's just go on the slightly higher side, being 25%. Percent is going to equal 34 pounds, okay? 34 pounds of body fat at 25% at 140. Now a male is 220 at 20%, and they're going to be at 44 pounds. Now, why is this important? Well, it's important because we need to know how much lean muscle is on an individual. If we're at 140 pounds minus the 30, we're at 107 pounds of lean body mass, or lean body tone. For the male, we're going to be at 100 and basically, we'll just say 76 pounds of lean body mass. Now, why are these numbers important? Well, first off, you want to think about your lean muscle tone or lean body mass as wood to a fire. So what I mean here is your metabolism is what's constantly burning calories for you. And to build your metabolism, you build it through a couple different variations. You build it through proper nutrition or eating less than you need to have a calorie consumption. You adjust your metabolism by eating the proper foods, so more metabolic or more metabolically demanding foods such as protein that takes more energy to digest. Another way of increasing your metabolism is through daily non-exercise activity. So that's like walking, parking far away, taking the stairs. It's taking your dogs for a walk or doing a sport or activity that you normally would like. So non-daily exercise activity. On top of that, there's also daily exercise activity. So how much exercise are you performing on a daily basis to burn calories, which also increases your metabolism. And lastly is your lean body mass. Now, lean body mass is like wood to a fire. The more wood you put on the fire, the higher the flame is going to be. The bigger the flame is going to be, and the longer and stronger the fire is going to burn. Now, figure this. If I only have 107 logs, compared to 176 logs, which fire do you think is going to be bigger? Well, in most cases, it's going to be the male's log, okay? So that's the first key to understanding why a male might lose a little bit more weight initially. It's because they have more wood to burn. The fire is going to be higher in a male because they have more logs on that fire already. Now again, this doesn't discredit the 107 logs that the woman might have. It just means that the fire is not going to be burning as large. That doesn't mean it can't be fixed, and it doesn't mean you're not going to see results. It just means that they're going to be burning more initially. Now on top of this 176, we also have to think about daily activity for a male versus female. Typically, now this isn't to say everybody, but typically men are more active throughout the day. Okay, now the reason I again can say this is because typically men have more labor-intensive jobs. They're going to be moving around more. They're usually not going to be stationary or sitting at like a reception desk or something like that. Now a woman, they typically are more in the jobs that are in offices, where they're sitting a little bit more, doing computer work or being a teacher or something like that, where they have less activity. So we also have to realize that men have generally more daily activity than a woman. Now again, if you're saying, Jeff, you're wrong here, you're right. I am wrong because not everybody's fitting in this category. We're just using a general assumption, okay? But on average, men tend to move around a little bit more. That again equals plus movement. Consider those factors, plus adding in something such as exercise. Now, when we look at the exercise, I'm going to take us out of the body for just a few moments so you can understand this concept a little differently. Again, we've got 176 pounds of lean body mass for a male. We've got 107 pounds of lean body mass for a female. So imagine it like this. You've got two cars. One car, let's use my car for an example. I have a Challenger, so there's 4 different engine models. Let's, for instance, say that my car is the 6.4 liter. But there's also a 5.2 liter. Now, in regards to these two cars, I have a 6.4, the woman might have a 5.2. What this means is that the bigger engine is probably going to have to produce more energy or utilize more gas to pump that engine at a higher volume of usage, while the smaller engine will have better gas mileage and more fuel efficiency. The same thing happens here when we go into training, okay? So the reason I use this idea of an engine is because now the engine size here is this 107. And the engine size here, that 6.4, is the 176 there. This means that the person that has more muscle tone, lean body mass, is going to be producing more energy and more active usage when they exercise than the person with the smaller engine. So again, I use this example so you understand, like, miles per gallon. A larger engine is going to have to go less distance to utilize as much energy. Yet a smaller engine will be able to go further and longer while producing more fuel efficiency. So when we look at this, women tend to be a little bit more fuel efficient, if we were to think about it in that context, when it comes to burning calories. The reason, again, is because they have less of an engine that produces more of that burn. Now, this again doesn't mean that this is forever. It just simply means that this is why, okay? Now, on top of these, all these little things play a minor factor. Now, the other thing here, guys, is to know is that your daily fluctuations is very much just a daily thing. When we look at an overall scale of someone's weight loss, what will happen is they'll start here. Day 1, they might drop. Day 2, they might actually be up. Or in day 3, they might be down. In day 4, they might be neutral. In day 5, they're down. Day 6, they're up. But at the end of this whole thing, what we notice is as we connect these dots, we eventually have a line that's going down, okay? So while we might have midday or intermittent weekly adjustments, at the course of this, we want to always look at a grander scale, about 7 to 10 days. If we're looking in the short term, like, oh, this person lost 10 pounds in one day, and I only lost 1, that's a very short-term way of looking at it, which isn't ideal because, again, we have so many fluctuations. The other fluctuation that can have an impact on a male versus female is how much food have you consumed? How many times have you went to the bathroom? How is your sleeping and digesting? Now, again, we also need to consider this. When we were talking about calories, the food you consume, who do you think is going to be burning more calories while they consume food? Probably the male, because they have a bigger engine that needs to be burning at a higher level of energy output compared to the woman. So it's not that a woman is different. It's that a woman usually just has less muscle tone. So how do we fix this? Now, this is the real question is, we understand why a male might initially lose more weight than a female. But how do we even this out and get them on the same track? Well, there's a couple ways. First, thing is we want to utilize weight training. So what is weight training? Weight training would be lifting some sort of weights, utilizing something that puts an external demand on the body to strain and stress it under proper demands. So that could be things like our team training or our Superhero U or RBT programs. Those are all utilizing weight training. The reason we utilize weight training is because by utilizing weight training, we break down and utilize that lean body mass to our advantage. We break it down, make it work for us by utilizing the engines to build and burn calories, but then also that demand increases the new amount of new wood to the fire, so adding lean body tone or lean body mass. On top of this, we also want to be ensuring that we're eating properly. Because when we really look at all this, eating comes down to the most important factor on the overall weight loss. You can't out-exercise bad diet, but you can diet your way into losing weight. But if you're not eating properly, none of these factors are going to be playing a role correctly. So we need to make sure everything is balanced. The other thing that can help you increase increasing daily activity. Now I use two variations of that daily activity: non-exercise activity and exercise activity. So non-exercise activity is things like walking your dog, parking at the back of the parking lot and walking up the stairs at your office, going for an hourly walk around the cubicles at work, or hopping on a bike and going for a leisurely ride, or going and playing golf and walking the golf course. Those are all daily activities that can help burn calories and increase the overall weight loss that people will have. Another variation is increasing exercise activity. So not just training, not just working out, but also adding extra things in there, such as cardio, finishers, small metabolic sets, or even what I use as Tabatas, small mini workouts early in the day, late in the afternoon, or even at lunch. Just 4 minutes here and there can help increase the activity or exercise thermogenesis. Those all, again, wrap into how to lose weight and how to rebalance each other out. Now again, this isn't about saying why a male is different than a female. It's just simply understanding why a male might initially lose more weight right off the get-go than a female. Now another thing to consider here, guys, is let's go back to the initial numbers, okay? If a male loses 10 pounds and they're at 220, they have lost about 4% of their body weight, okay? 4%. Now, if a woman loses, let's just do this. Let's erase this. If a male loses 10 pounds in a week, in 1 week, but they're at 220, that means he's lost about 4% body weight, okay? 4% of his body weight. Now, if a woman at 140 lost just 3 pounds, that would again be 4% of her body weight, right? Because 10% would be 14, 5% would be 7, right? So we can see that if we really look at it as a grand scheme of things, men don't necessarily lose more weight than a woman. It actually is all about the same percentage-wise. A male will typically lose between 6 to 10 pounds on average in their first week. But again, they have more initial weight to lose compared to the woman, who again is lower. So we really have to consider these factors into the play of this whole game of why it might feel, or we might interpret, a male is losing weight faster than a female. It really is not true, except for the initial start position, because they have things such as more lean muscle tone, which is like fires. They have a larger engine that initially is burning more fuel, and they're able to utilize and are probably strength training and more active throughout the day. Simple fixes to that can really overhaul your results and put you on a fast track to losing weight and getting on track with your diet, exercise, nutrition, and everything else. Again, when it really comes down to it all, men and women are not much different. There's just a couple key factors that play an initial starting role that then can be rebalanced and readjusted by simply ensuring that you utilize a few key principles: utilizing weight training, eating properly, and increasing your daily exercise. Also, realizing that based on percentage, not number, based on percentage, you're right on track with the person that you believe is seeing fantastic weight results.